Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight we have MarkKnopfler and Chet Atkins, and they're going to be doing an instrumental medley here. We're going to be looking at the first track because there's so much to get into with this that it will take probably too long to have a look at both of them, but they're going to be playing through I'll See You in My Dreams. Let's get these guys up on screen and see how they get on. I'm just going to stop it there because Mark, what a great solo that was, and also Mark's face there. I mentioned Chet's sweeping in another video I did, just the fact that he was doing it so early and it was so strange to see it. And a lot of people don't actually realize that the techniques are all the same, regardless of being in this country bracket or players like Glenn Campbell, for example, and Chet Atkins. They can be put in a bracket, but their playing is so much wider than that, because they incorporate so many techniques into that particular genre. And this sweeping is a classic case of that. The fact that if Chet was to be in a hard rock band or a metal band, these techniques would just absolutely filter into that. There's no way that this isn't top level technical playing. And the fact that you could argue without that safety net of effects and delay and reverb and all those things that tend to come along with more overdrive, Chet hasn't got that safety net, so he's got to be absolutely precise with these sweeps, playing it on an acoustic guitar. And on the other video that I did with Chet, he was actually playing with Jerry Reed, and Jerry let out a little laugh when Chet actually did that sweep. I think purely exactly the same as Mark here. It is just so cool and so great to hear someone throw in such technique, but throw it in so melodically. That is the killer here, is the fact that it is adding. It's not technique just for the sake of it. It's not just trying to show off. But taking it back to Mark's playing in that little solo section, what I love about Mark is the fact that he's always got his own sound and his own style. But certainly when you play fingerstyle or when you play hybrid like we've got here, you can start to fall into sequences or different formations that your right hand likes. Whereas what I love about Mark is the fact that he skips all over the place. He just moves that first, second and third finger down or up as required, and it seems to me like it's a totally natural process. His hand will just organize itself for exactly the line that he wants. And sometimes when you then try and sit down and learn a MarkKnopfler track, you'll find that he's moving his hand in places that actually is quite counterintuitive sometimes. The fact that he's naturally just jumped there, and people that are so used to being really strict with that fingering won't be able to get the same sound. But Mark's just got his own sound, and that technique really lends itself to that. The fact that he can get that holy grail that I always mention of actually sounding like yourself on the guitar and not sounding like anybody else is playing. And we've got that walking bass line in here just as part of the piece, so that when they're picking that low E string or the root note of the chord, they then have a little skip down and will always alternate between two strings to give that walking bass line effect. But let's get into it a little bit more now. great little solo there from Chet. This is one of those videos that I don't really want to stop because it's great to listen to these two have that musical conversation as well. The way that Mark looks over at Chet and they're both on the same page and know exactly where they're going. A great close-up as well of Chet's right hand showing all of that technique where it sounds like alternate picking that you would do with a pick, but the fact that Chet actually pulls out all of those picks with the first finger, second finger, and third finger on that right hand, as well as the thumb pick that he's got going on. So he can get such great little runs up and down. But the amount of synchronization that requires is insane. Sometimes when you're playing with a pick, it's so much easier because it's just one thing that you are now coordinating with the left hand, and you've just got to synchronize those two things together. Whereas Chet there threw together a great ascending run where he's actually synchronizing all the notes with the left hand with the thumb, first finger, second finger, and third finger. So it means that every note is potentially now going to be synchronized with a different finger. So it takes so much skill and ability to be able to get clean runs up and down with that style. Another thing you might have noticed there, because we had a really good close-up of Chet's right hand, was his nails. When you're playing fingerstyle or hybrid picking, you can either grow your fingernails long and then file them almost into a pick shape, that's what you're aiming for, or you can have fake nails, which is just literally a case of sticking nails on top of your nail that already exists so that the nail now is proud of the finger and you can use it like picks. And to me it looks like Chet has got those on when he's playing. And there's also the option of having fingernail picks if you want to, which is just literally a pick that grabs onto your finger and then is proud exactly in the same way that your nail would be if you were to grow them out. So it means that you can start to play fingerstyle and hybrid picking and play lots of different pieces without necessarily having to lose techniques you might use in other styles, for example tapping. But let's get back into listening to these guys jam it out. Another quick interruption just to show on that right hand, great close up again, that alternate picking that Chet throws in there. Like I mentioned earlier, he's a top technical player. He's got all of these techniques in his arsenal and he just pulls out whatever he wants to at any particular time. Alternate picking there with the thumb pick. So even cooler to see that really close up alternate picking with the thumb pick. And in these solo, before Chet just came in, we saw in Mark's solo, interestingly, the fact that when he's playing, a lot of the time there in that solo, he's spent with his third finger anchored onto the body of the guitar. So he's just using thumb and first finger and second finger and then moving up and down the strings like I mentioned earlier. Sometimes a player would start to use that third finger rather than move the first and second finger down by a string. But that's Mark's technique. He just naturally goes to whatever his hand wants to do and it just makes it sound so smooth and so cool, and just by doing that he'll get a naturally different sound to someone that might be hovering over those strings all the time. But there's not too much more of this performance to go, so let's just watch it until the end. And there we go, what a great performance that is. I'll See You in My Dreams is such a great tune anyway, but the fact that they play the instrumental so well with so much melody. And the great players, they throw in all the technique in the world, but they pair it with melody. Melody's the thing that's going to keep you interested, not technique. So the fact here that we've had 3 minutes 33 of pure playing and at no point getting bored. In fact, there's so much in there that I'm stopping the video and trying to explain things because there's so much technique and so much impressive playing going on, but you can easily sit down and watch it from beginning to end, never stopping it, and just appreciate the music and appreciate the art, because that's what great players do. It doesn't matter what techniques you know or how fast you can play. If you can't put across a good melody, you're never going to be able to connect with an audience. But Mark and Chet here are just all over it melodically and really connect with everybody watching, even now watching it on video. You just love to sit down and watch this thing through because it's so melodically well put together. I'm going to put a link to this in the description below so you guys can check out the whole video, because after this they do a version of Imagine by John Lennon, which is definitely worth a watch. I don't want this video to go on for too long, so you guys can watch that whole video because that's a really great performance as well. But Chet Atkins, Mark Knopfler, two great players in their own right, coming together and throwing something really special together here. So thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!